If you're looking for the cheapest and most reliable Madden 22 coins on the market, check out my sponsor, MMOEXPR.com. Links are in the description, and use code JEDI at checkout for 5% off. Alrighty, hey there guys, Adrian DeCossier, KJ195, coming at you guys with another video. So in this video, guys, I'm going to be coming at you guys with my final Madden 23 beta impressions. Now, I completely forgot to do these a couple of days ago. I meant to do it on Monday, but I just forgot to do so, and then I just kept pushing it off, so I'll do it today. Now, there is a few things that I did want to talk about when it comes to the Madden 23 beta that you know, some people were talking about that I haven't found really to be a big issue. Also talk about things that I personally did not enjoy, things I did really enjoy, because to be completely honest with you guys, I wish that Madden 23's beta was still up and going until launch. That's how much I was having fun with the Madden 23 beta. Now, obviously, I did stop playing it after a little while because it was getting boring without the access to things like MUT and, you know, nothing to really look forward to. Well, I mean the full game of MUT, not just like the actual demo, because the MUT beta was just terrible. Okay, I didn't even bother playing it because, quite honestly, the MUT beta in 23, which just everything about it was just awful. For myself personally, I didn't even bother looking to play it. So before we get too deep into it, guys, there's still a lot of you guys that are watching these videos that are not subscribed to the channel. So if you guys could take a quick second to subscribe to the channel for me, please, that would be greatly appreciated. Also, leave a like on the video. Both things help me on the algorithm. Both things put the video out there for others to see, to potentially get their opinions and thoughts. And both things help me out and keeping me wanting to make videos, guys. And just so you guys are aware, the videos have been definitely a little bit of a slowdown thing for myself. They're not necessarily coming to a halt. I'm not going to stop uploading because I do actually enjoy uploading videos. But I am looking to start going back to full-time work here soon. Probably mainly in the mornings is what I'm looking for. So obviously I'm going to try my best to make sure I upload every Monday to Friday and stream maybe 3 times a week. But I cannot guarantee that's going to happen come that 23 season. But who knows? I'm more than likely will be able to pull that off. But just so you guys are aware, if videos do again start to slow down like they did in April when I did get start my school program, which I'm now finished, by the way, then there you go. So, but with that being said, guys, let's start off with things that I really did enjoy about the Madden 23 beta. Now, they did do some patches and shit throughout the beta, so there was a few changes overall. But the first thing I really did enjoy was the pass rush. Once they did 2 down the instant wins, guys, pass rush was fantastic. It is a lot more realistic. You get about like 3 to 4 seconds in the pocket at absolute most, which I think is ideal. I don't think you should be having 5, 6, 7+ seconds to find a receiver downfield consistently. That, in my opinion, is not realistic. That, in my opinion, kind of ruins the game because it allows people to be able to throw just whatever they want deep down the field at any point in the game. And obviously, you can't throw it deep down the field every single play in the NFL, right? So you have to work with, you know, try and tailor your offense to be a little bit more realistic, which I do like with Madden 23. It seems like they're doing that well with the pass rush. Same thing when it comes to the zone reactions. Now, yes, there are things like in terms of psychic DBs, like outside thirds, apparently, when their backs are turned to the ball when they're like following a streak down the field, when their backs are turned, they're still able to turn around and make a play on the ball for a route underneath the streak, which does, you know, it does hurt the gameplay a little bit in that sense. It does make it a little unrealistic from there because obviously, you know, you want to make sure that you don't have you know, a situation to where the defensive back can go ahead and make a play on the ball. Now, a part of me is completely fine with this because how much Madden 22's defense sucked. But I have to be understanding and realistic here. That is something that is a bit of a problem. But other than that major thing, zone coverage in general was fantastic. Thirds played great. Deep halves played a lot better. Red zone coverage is still off and on. It's better than it was last year, but the red zone defense is a little bit inconsistent at times. I do suspect that will be touched in the final game, or maybe in a patch or two after a couple of days, a couple of months after the game comes out, or maybe the first patch. But overall, zone coverage is better. You know, hard flats actually play aggressively in the flat. They actually do go out to make a play on the ball in that situation. I've had that happen where I've tried to make a throw on a check down and I threw a pick 6 because the guy was able to get there immediately and pick off the ball. And I'm okay with that. I'm completely fine with that. That's how it's supposed to play. So that is what it should be doing. So yes, keep it that way. Next thing that I thought was really, really good, guys, was just the overall feel of the game in terms of like the presentation and whatnot. I think the presentation is a little bit better. Obviously, it's not the biggest priority for myself personally. I'm not much of a person who cares about the presentation to a major extent. Like, I do think it is important, but I don't think it is that big a deal. Also, when it comes to other positive things, like for example, the passing mechanic, the new one, for example, I actually do think the new passing mechanic has potential to be good. But I will touch on things I didn't like about the Madden 23 beta, later on in this video. I'll touch on that when it comes to that. Things that I personally, that I noticed with the passing mechanic. Also, when it comes to things like MUT, for example, there are some abilities that did get changed. Now, keep in mind what I'm about to say is with a grain of salt, but I did look at some of the abilities that were changed in Madden 23's MUT beta. And here were some things I found. So Deep Out Elite looks like it's going to be 3 AP, which I'm fine with. Deep Out Elite was very, very good last year, or Madden 20, in Madden 22. It was extremely overpowered. Everybody basically and their mother used it. I thought it was really, really good. That is being changed up. In terms of, say, things like Hot Rod Master, I actually am okay with it being 5 AP. I think that's how much it was in the beta, was 5 AP. I'm actually completely fine with it being 5 AP because in that sense, you're not losing any value when it comes to, you're not gaining some like extra huge advantage by having to use Hot Rod Master, because when it comes to using a Hot Rod Master, one of the things that was really bothersome with using that compared to other Hot Rod abilities was the fact that with the route abilities, they were, even if they were all 1 AP, like running back, 2 outsides, a tight end, and a slot apprentice, they were 5 AP in total, and Hot Rod Master in total was 3 or 4 AP, it was 4 AP at the most. So you can see the problem with that. And on Field General specifically, it was 2 AP. So obviously that needed to be changed. And I'm actually kind of glad that they did make it more expensive, because obviously now it is basically like you're having 2 slot apprentices or 2 outside apprentices in a slot, and stuff of that nature. Like, you basically now have for your basic 11 personnel, everything is like 5 AP, which I'm okay with. I think that's a great change for the MUT. For MUT next year in terms of balancing. In terms of actual going back to gameplay, elusive and small shifty backs are very, very important. And I do actually think that's a great thing, because obviously, smaller, for when it comes to Madden 22 and Madden 21 as well, big, bulky power backs were meta, like King Henry. Edgerrin James at one point was probably the best back in the game. I love that Edgerrin James card. It's probably one of my favorite cards of the year. But yeah, guys like Derrick Henry, Micah Parsons at a position card was insanely overpowered. Well, not overpowered, it was insanely good. Like, big, girthy, meaty backs, obviously, were meta, and the smaller, shifty ones kind of just got cast aside. So EA has did a little bit of a good job with the hard cut system, trying to make it more appealing to use smaller backs. Now, I don't think smaller backs are going to be meta. I do think as long as weight matters on the new gen games, which I think is good, but as long as weight matters on new gen, I think people are going to, use the power backs and the King Henrys of the world, because obviously it's going to be harder to tackle them, which, in turn allows it to where you can have a situation where a running back like a Derrick Henry can just plow through your entire team before he gets tackled. Also, in terms of the continuing on with the other things that they've added, trying to remember here. Oh yeah, Escape Artist is now an X Factor. I'm glad that it's finally got turned into an X Factor. I think a lot of people were expecting it to become one, and that's a great thing to see. Franchise mode overall. Now, I did play a couple of franchise things. A couple of franchises. Both with the Broncos, because why not? And the franchise mode in and of itself is actually pretty good. Like, franchise is actually very solid overall. They did overhaul free agency, which is probably the biggest thing that they talked about, which I actually do like, because now each player has like motivators and tags for their thing. Like, for example, the motivators, maybe they select their priorities. Maybe, like, for example, wanting for the interest for your team. Maybe they will be more interested in your team because you have a franchise quarterback, or they're more interested in your team because you're making a Super Bowl run, or they could be more franchise interested in your team because, you know, you have the money, basically, like you can pay them. So obviously those are fantastic things as well. And then with the tags, you know, you could have things like future starting quarterback, day one starter, bridge player, which is basically a player that is taking the starting spot for now, but once you find somebody better or you trade for somebody better, that person will be demoted in the depth chart. You also have things like trade target young and old, like basically you take a player and you trade them for like a younger player, or you trade them for like a veteran. You know, I think we also have mentor as well, which is the big one, which allows you to give players of that specific that specific position group extra XP during weekly training. For example, the biggest one that I saw was with Kareem Jackson. He is a mentor for the Broncos, so all like strong safeties got extra XP for strong safeties during practice and all that stuff. You know, a lot of cool things with the franchise, and then, you know, like the free agency stuff. I think that was also pretty good as well. You know, just stuff of that nature. I think basically those are just the small things I wanted to touch on for the things I like, because I did enjoy the beta, and there's a lot of things there's some other things I could have put on here, but unfortunately, because I'm doing this off dome, I don't really script my videos and whatnot. It's not coming to my head at this time of other things I did like. But let's talk about other things I didn't like. But let's talk about the things I didn't like. So, just real quick, as it pertains to the Psychic DBs, again, it's just something that I have noticed. It is something that I have noticed a little bit. I've seen people talk about it, and I do think they will address it. It is something that people are speaking on. And more specifically, we're not talking about making zone coverage worse. We're just talking about the fact that if an outside third is being pulled by a streak, he should not have any knowledge or should not care about the crossing route or the corner route underneath them. I think that is something that definitely needs to be tuned a little bit. Also, when it comes to things like, for example, playbooks, they suck. They absolutely suck. I think playbooks absolutely need to be changed, because I understand the idea of wanting to simplify playbooks, and, you know, from that perspective, I get it. You know, wanting to simplify playbooks to make them not complicated, I get it. But now the problem is, because you've made them so simple and you've reduced the playbook, what's the word I'm looking for? The playbooks depth, I want to say. Now that you've done that, you have basically made it to where now only really 2 formations are going to be important, or 3 formations are going to be so important. Like bunch, trips tight end, and bunch tight end are going to be the 3 most popular formations in the game. And I will actually talk about my favorite playbooks for the Madden 23 beta and what playbooks I think are going to be the best. So keep an eye out for that. That'll probably be releasing about maybe a couple of weeks, maybe about a month before Madden 23's launch. Because quite honestly, you know, there is some playbooks that I think are really good, but overall, the adjustment, like the tuning of the playbooks, were really bad. Speaking of something that is really bad, and I think could absolutely ruin this game if it is not properly addressed, offensive line logic is so bad. Like, it is absolutely awful how bad offensive linemen play in Madden 23. There will be times where a tackle just does not pick up an edge rusher right beside them. There's also times where the lineman will disengage and try to pass off an interior lineman so they can pick up try and pick up an overload blitz a little bit. Not saying like they send 4 on like 5 on one side. In that situation, you can't really do much about it. But if there's like 3 or 4 rushers on one side, and you're blocking with the running back and the offensive line, the offensive line and the interior struggles to pass off those interior rushers. I've had situations where guards just do not, and center just does not pick up the interior rusher, and they get a free run right at the quarterback, which is annoying. So there is that. You also have a situation where sometimes the lineman just won't pick up a corner looping around. Well, not corner looping, but a corner blitz. Sometimes they just won't engage with the corner, and they'll just pass them off. And this is one of the things I think I talk about this in my abilities video that I'm probably going to release tomorrow. For abilities that I think you should prioritize for Madden 23. I talk about it much more in there. Probably a couple of times. But I think Madden 23 will be a send 6 man coverage press game, which brings me to the next thing. Man coverage is still pretty solid in Madden 23. I think it cannot be that way Man should never be good. It is the most brain dead, boring ass, set and forget, no skill defense in the game. You literally just have the AIs play the defense for you, and you don't even have to think. You don't even have to, make adjustments to what the offense is doing. You just set and forget. And honestly, that should not be how you win games. You should have to win games by actually outthinking your opponent, making it to where you have making it to where you as a player also has to make those adjustments and whatnot, not just sit in stock man, shade underneath or shade over the top and just fucking press and stuff like that. And with how pass rush is in Madden 23, I fear that's going to be something that is going to be a real big problem, because everybody is probably just going to man press with like bench presses and one step aheads and shit of that nature, and they're going to send like 2 or 3 with a user blitz, and that's just, it's not going to work very well, which in my opinion is that's also another fix that they need to do. If a user is on a blitz, that user needs to blitz. That user should not be able to do anything else but blitz. I just think that's just ridiculous, because it feels like it's going to be another Mike Blitz 0 out of 335 wide game where people are going to play man, play stock man coverage, blitz the user, run around with him, and then have 2 curl flat zones on the from the outside linebackers. It's ridiculous. Also, linebackers, speaking of linebackers, they do not jump again for the 3rd consecutive year, which is ridiculous in my opinion. Please, EA, make it to where linebackers can jump without lurker. I have talked about this before, and I will continue to speak on it, because it is something that needs to not be a thing in this game. Linebackers need to be able to jump without the lurker ability. That's just a straight up fact. In my opinion, lurker should make your linebacker user great, not make him usable. I've said this before, and I will say it again, because quite honestly, I don't think it is acceptable that a linebacker just cannot jump. And before anybody starts calling out with the realism crap with stuff like that when it comes to linebackers not jumping, keep in mind that there are linebackers who do jump. I literally saw a clip a couple days ago where Deion Jones literally jumped 4 feet in the air to pick off a damn pass. So you can't tell me linebackers don't jump when it's literally physical. There's literally physical evidence in the NFL that you have linebackers who do jump. Plus, I've seen guys like Luke Kuechly and Bobby Wagner, some of the 2 greatest linebackers of the 2010s, literally fucking jump and pick off a pass. So you cannot argue that there is no such thing as linebackers not jumping when we literally have seen it throughout NFL history. Plus, not only that, I don't want to hear anything about realism until there's things like interior defensive line stunts in the game for concepts on blitzes. I don't want to hear anything about realism until we get better offensive line logic. Until we get, say, for example, maybe a bit better like contain logic. The contains are better, like they do actually get out there, but in previous years it wasn't the case. So, but. You cannot tell me, you cannot argue realism, but at the same time completely ignore some of these other problems that the game has. You cannot argue realism and then turn around and completely ignore that and everything. So please make your linebackers jump, EA Sports, for goodness sake. I should not have to use a safety at linebacker. I get it. Safeties can play nickel and dime defenses do play linebackers now, but there needs to be an incentive to have that position on the field, because otherwise you're just taking out an entire position group and just making them unusable. Pardon me. Speaking of things that do absolutely also need to change, and this is something that I have noticed a little bit, it is the aggressive catches. They are still a little bit insane. I think they do need to change just a small amount. Not too much, but a little bit, to where, I shouldn't be seeing a 5'10" running back jumping over a corner and catching a ball. That corner should be locking down that running back and just completely annihilating him in coverage. That's what I have to say about that. Also, in terms of, say, for example, things I don't like about the game, when it comes to defensive things, for example, another one is the fact that when it comes to what is it called? What is it again? Give me a second here. I'm trying to remember it. Again, I don't really put these I don't really write these things down. I just do it off dome because I just think out loud, and I'm just trying to remember, for example, what it is. Oh yeah, one thing I don't like is the fact that they actually, for the coaching settings, this is what I was trying to say. The coaching adjustments, they make it to where you actually have to enable the match coverage to play the match coverage. But at the same time, they also have the match plays still in the playbook, which doesn't make sense to me. Like, if you're going to make it so that way you have a setting to where match coverage is enabled in the coach settings, which I already think is a bad idea because, again, it limits the playbook, in my opinion. Like, there are ways to get around the match coverage when you have zone drop set. All you need to do is really just reset the play at the beginning of the game, before the play starts. Or, and I think this is something I have personally found, just shade like inside or outside and the zone drops will cancel out. I don't know if that one's true or not, but I have noticed mainly just the reset play before, and that you definitely do need to play that way. Run defense is also not that great. It is still very easy to run down the ball down people's throats. Now, I'm not against running the ball consistently, but I don't think a run-heavy offense should be how you win games in this game. Same with playing man coverage consistently. I don't think that's how you should be winning on defense. I think you should have to be trying to play zone and learn how to pass from the pocket and stuff like that. Speaking of passing, when it comes to quarterbacks rolling out, like, rollouts are still there, but they're more based on the bootleg plays, which I think is fine. But I fear as if once people start realizing that bootlegs are actually the best way to roll out and whatnot, maybe I'm just tripping here because I was playing when I was playing the Madden 23 beta, I was using some playbooks that have, like, for example, the Los Angeles Rams have a lot of boot plays out of the bunch X nasty formation. And I was playing with the bunch X nasty and I was doing a lot of rollouts and I was getting out of the pocket and finding throws downfield no problem. Now, I don't necessarily know if that's just because the defense I was playing against didn't set contains. I hope that's the case, but I fear that I'm just pointing that out just in case it is something that does come up in future in the future where, you know, you have a situation like that where you have, like, for example, people just spamming rollout, PA rollouts, PA boots, and all that nonsense to try and get the ball downfield instead of having to stand and make a read from the pocket. Pardon me. The other thing I did not like was for the defense, for the most part, was the incredibly bad, what's the word I'm looking for? Actually, I think that's it. I think that's really it for the defensive aspect. Oh yeah, one good thing about defense that I need to talk about that I completely just remembered right now. Like I said, for the third time, guys, I don't really script my videos. I just think off top. The two-man interactions are returned. They're not as, as good as they can be. But the two-man interactions are back where you could basically knock the ball out of somebody. And I think that from somebody who's catching. And I think that's going to help because it should make it to where smaller defensive backs and players in general just matter more. But that is going to do it, guys. If there is anything I did miss, let me know in the comments below, guys. Because quite honestly, I cannot remember everything good and bad about the beta. As I said, I didn't write it down, so I'm just doing it off top. But let me know, guys, and with that, I will see you guys in the next video. I'm out.